Welcome, everyone. I'd like to say good afternoon or good morning or good evening, depending on your location in the world. I'm Eve Fabros, one of the online marketing managers with Brad Sugar's Profit Masters. We have people attending from all over the world for today's webinar entitled Sales Success. Please have a pen and paper ready to take notes. Now, without further delay, I'd like to pass you on to your host and the world's #1 business coach, Brad Sugars.
Well, hi everybody, and welcome to Sales Success. Today's webinar is really about how you can create success in your sales, how you actually turn your numbers. And my goal by the end of this event is to actually have you think about how you can double your conversion rates in the next 60 to 90 days. Now, I know that seems like a lot, and a lot of people sort of like, well, I don't know, doubling my conversion rate. Well, first and foremost, we've got to understand that most people overestimate how good they are at sales. Let's be blunt. Most of us in sales are so good at selling other people. We're also pretty good at selling ourselves on how good we are at our results. Today is really 57 minutes of you learning about how to boost conversion rates and obviously compound profits, because we all know that if we can sell more of the people that are already coming to us, it doesn't take a genius to work out how much that adds to our profitability. Revenues are up, therefore profits are up, and that's really what we're going for today. How do we boost our sales and how do we boost our revenues is what sales success is all about. So as Eve mentioned, get your pen and paper ready and let's get going on this thing. You know, doubling our conversion rate is not a matter of one idea that doubles it. It's a matter of implementing multiple smaller ideas that, when combined, double our conversion rate. So don't think that it's going to be one idea that does it. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of things today, and you got to get really good at taking notes because that's what we're going to be looking for. Now, my first book on sales was Instant Sales, and really what we looked at there was a whole different gamut of how we can actually boost sales. But I don't know what it is, but there's something about being live on a webinar or live in a seminar that actually gets people taking action better than when they read a book. So, and by the way, Eve mentioned it before, but there will be 4 free gifts for everybody attending, so she'll give you the links for that at the end of the day today. They'll be in your little chat window in the GoToWebinar system. So we're going to cover off 5 major strategies, and we're going to look at a whole bunch of little bits and pieces within each of those 5 major strategies today. To give you an understanding of why I'm here, let's first of all look at what I believe you're here for. My simple thing is that the people are here to get more sales, whether that be more revenues or more profitability in the existing sales, or whether it be just converting more existing customers to come back more often, or more of your new prospects into existing customers. Either way, what we're looking at from a sales perspective is generating real revenues or generating real profitability. During the webinar today, I'm also going to have a few polls, so you need to be able to click on the different aspects of it to give me an idea as to where you're at. The more you feedback me on those polls, obviously, the more I can make this directed towards you and the whole group. So let me just find out. Here's the first poll here. I'm just going to find out where you are within your company. If you're the owner of the business, if you're in sales, or you're an assistant salesperson, or in marketing area, where are you at in your business, so that I can understand exactly how you want me to target today's webinar. Obviously, if I take a look here, we've got people from, well, we're 5 continents. We are 14 countries all over the world. So we got a lot of different time zones on us here. So for those of you that are up early, welcome to the webinar. For those of you who are staying up late, welcome as well. And for us here in Las Vegas, where I'm at, it's 4 in the afternoon, so a nice, beautiful afternoon here. So by the looks of it, we got a lot of business owners on today, called a couple of sales managers and marketing managers, and a whole bunch of sales people. So interesting to see where we're at. Let me just close that off and show you where we're at, just so you get an understanding of exactly who's on the webinar today. You know, literally hundreds and hundreds of business owners, so that's kind of a good thing, and then a bunch of you guys in sales, and over hundreds of salespeople. So this is going to be a fantastic day. So why you're here is one thing. Why do I do webinars is probably another interesting thing. You know, if I look back at my story in business, I've owned and operated many different companies, everything, well, today, currently, obviously, ActionCOACH that you know about, but I have interest in restaurants and, you know, all different things because in my mind, business is business. It's like sales is sales. I've always been a salesperson. In every one of my companies, I've been in the sales side of the company, how to make money, how to do the marketing, get the leads, make sales. And I love that. But my thing is, why do companies fail? Most of them fail through a lack of sales. So if I can get more sales coming into a company, then obviously I can get its revenues up and therefore profitability up and more success. Action Coach, as you're probably aware, operates now in 50 countries. We just opened in the United Arab Emirates, which is our 50th market in the world to operate in. It's very exciting to do that, and you'll notice that we guarantee our results as a coaching organization. We guarantee you'll get results, or we'll work with you for free until you do. We can't be more, I guess, open and blunt about it than that. But why do I tell you this? Well, real simple. I love seeing people succeed, and that's why I teach. I could probably make a lot more money running other companies, but this is what I love. If you ever see me do live seminars, you'll notice how passionate I am because I love doing this stuff. But traveling is what kills me. It's like, put it really bluntly, when you pay to come to my seminars, you don't actually pay for the seminar. You pay me to travel, to get in airplanes and sleep in hotels and be away from my family. I do the seminars for free. It's not the seminars that's the hard part. It's the travel. It's all of that stuff. And in 2009, I made a big shift because I realized how far I was away from my family. And after getting carjacked and shot at, I thought, this is just crazy. I'm not doing this stuff anymore. And so I turned to webinars, and here I am today. And that's why every month I give webinars to literally thousands of business owners in countries all over the world. And it makes a lot more sense for you because you get to learn from where you are. I get to present the seminar from wherever I am in the world. I just happen to be in my home in Las Vegas at the present moment. And we get to do a whole bunch of great things. So get ready to take notes as if you're in a seminar. Turn off your Facebook, turn off your Twitter and all that sort of stuff. After you, of course, tweeted that you're here on a webinar with Brad Sugars and learning a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, give me some good promotion. My Twitter handle, by the way, is @ActionCoachCEO. My Facebook is facebook.com/Brad Lee Sugars. Instagram is Brad Lee Sugars. Jump on any of them. Same with LinkedIn. Happy to chat with you on any of those mediums. Please keep in touch. So, on to sales. How do we immediately boost sales numbers? How do we massively jump them? And, what we're talking about here today is doubling your conversion rates in the next 60 to 90 days. And if you're not excited by that, then you're kind of crazy because if you think about it, that'll double or triple revenues in the company. That's really what we're looking at if we can double and triple conversion rate. So how do we get sales running? First thing I have to deal with whenever I'm teaching salespeople to make shift is their beliefs. One of the biggest things about salespeople is that their beliefs impact what happens on a day-to-day basis. Their beliefs impact how many sales they get. Their beliefs impact the result and effect of the work they do on a day-to-day basis. And it's their beliefs about many different things. If I was to ask the average person to describe for me what are the 10 traits about salespeople or what are the 10 traits about customers, and on average, I'm not going to get all positivity. I'm not going to get people going, wow, we love salespeople. They're the best people in the world. They only help people. We're going to get things like, they try and get one over on you and so on. That level of belief, if it's in you as a salesperson, if you think of other salespeople in that way, then of course it's going to impact the way you relate to customers. Of course those beliefs are going to impact what you do on a day-to-day basis and how you get results and the results you do and don't get. Customers. I was working with a group of salespeople just it was about a month ago, and here they were talking to me about customers. Well, tell me, what do you think about customers? And the first one that came out of their mouth is, all buyers are liars. And I'm sure you've heard that at some stage. But the craziest thing about that is that, hang on, if that's the way you think about your customers at a subconscious level, at a base level, what are you doing when you're sitting in front of these people? So, this is very important. And then I ask people their beliefs around products and services, what you sell, your product or your service. And guess what? 99.9% of the time I get all positivity. So hang on, I get negativity around salespeople, I get negativity around customers, but I get positivity around products and services. And then I go to the final area of beliefs, money. What are your beliefs around money? How much, and crazily enough, of course, I'm not going to get super positives. And even though people think they're positive around money, all you got to do is look at their bank balance and all their earnings statements, and you can tell how positive they are really about money. So why is this all important? Well, let's take a look at it. As the first of our 5 points today, beliefs is of massive importance, but the reason it's of massive importance is that sales decisions, which one are they based on, logic or emotion? Of course, they're based mostly on emotion, and that level of emotion is what we look for, and we're saying, well, hang on, if sales decisions are based on emotion, and I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm thinking, well, Pareto was pretty close on the money with his 80-20 rule. If 80% of a buying decision is emotion, if 80% of it is, do I like this person? Do I feel good about this product? If 80% of it is, how will this product make me feel? Or how will this service respond and give me more time with my family? Or will it, the emotional aspect of the sale is so valuable. Hang on, how well important are our belief structures? If our beliefs are negative around salespeople or customers or money or any of this aspect is showing up, then what's going to happen when we get in front of a prospect, in front of an existing customer, when we're working the sales side of things, if we're going emotional? I'll give you an example, like even from my own business, from ActionCOACH. Most people, when they come and talk with a coach, they don't want to logically justify a coach. Yeah, you've got to be able to logically justify it. That's 20% of the sale. But 80% of it is going to be simple things like, do I like this person? Do they make me feel good? 80% of it is going to be the things that are emotional, like, having a business coach. It's not about the logic of, yes, they will help me rewrite a sales letter, or yes, they're going to help me work on my marketing pieces, or yes, they're going to help me with my finances. That's logical. What it's going to be about is, will they help me take vacations with my family? Will they help me with getting more time to go and see my kids play football? Will they help me with real experiences in life? Not just will they help me with the logical side of it. If you really sit down and think about it, having a coach is more about taking your family on a vacation, having time and a date night with your wife or husband each week, than it is about the logic of the systems and the finances and all of that sort of stuff. Emotion is a driver in sales, and until you get real clear on how you drive the emotions in the sales in your area, the belief structures you hold, until you get all this stuff working in your favor, of course it's going to be trouble. Of course it's going to be tough to make sales. Emotional drivers, and this comes to a point. Are you going to the emotion when you're selling, or are you just selling on logic? If you're just selling on logic, then of course you're going to struggle with sales. If you're always talking about the product's logical benefits, or if you're always talking about the benefits of your service in a logical manner, if they're not worrying about whether they like the salesperson, if you're not worried about whether you're building a relationship, if you're not worried about the emotive side of it, then you are missing the majority of what makes salespeople great. Great salespeople have a handle on the emotion. They're great at it. They're building relationships. They're building rapport. They're making sure the person understands the emotional benefits of their product or service, not just the logical benefits of their product or service. And then you're going to start getting amazing results. So get clear on the beliefs and get clear on the emotions, and you'll start churning out really great results on every single part of it. So if I was to then say, okay, what is it that is a challenge for you in sales? I'm just going to launch a quick another poll and see where you're at with your sales. Where are the challenges with your sales? Is it about not enough sales? Is it you got to discount all the time to get the sales? Is it that you got to build a team of salespeople? Is it that you just got so many challenges with sales, I got to do every single part of it, Brad? Let me know so I can tailor this next segment to make sure it's on track with what you as a group need to learn. Again, only 30 seconds more for this poll to be open, so if you can jump in and push that button immediately, that would make it better for all of us, and we can get that thing. By the way, at the end of the session today, not only will Eve be giving you the 4 gifts and the link for that, but I will be taking some questions. So if you do have a question, type it into the question box. I probably won't get to all of them, but I'll get to as many of them as I possibly can. So if at any point in time you want to type a question in the question box, pop it in there, and we'll go from there. Okay, closing that off. So if I share this with you, you'll see we got 63% not enough sales. We got 14% discounted. Team is not such a big deal. Referrals and repeat business we've got to take a focus in on. And the last group there at 16%, yep, we got it, guys. We got to cover all of the different areas. Okay. Second part of building a great machine in sales, second part of building a sales machine is not only getting the right beliefs and emotions in place, but then working on your skills of communication. Sales is all about communication. And, I agree. Some people say, they got the gift of the gab. They're a good salesperson. No. Being good at speaking doesn't make you good at sales. Being good at communicating does. Making sure you understand what they're saying, listening into what they're saying, speaking in a tone or a vocab that they understand. It's not just about what you can say, it's about how well it's understood on both sides of the equation. So my definition of true communication is the response you get. Now, what that means in a sales scenario is this. If in a sales scenario you sell them, then of course they buy your product or service. But in most sales scenario, the prospect actually outsells the salesperson. What does that mean? Well, if you leave without the sale, what it really means is they've sold you on the fact that you can't help. You either sell them that you can help them with your product or service, or they sell you on the fact that your product or service isn't going to help them. So when you think about this, are you winning the sales game when you go out and see people? Are they selling more? Are they selling you more, or are you selling them more? If they're selling you on the fact that you can't help, you got to learn some skills to get past these people and make sure you can sell it to them. Otherwise, this is always going to be a challenge. So communication, let's take a look at some aspects of it and what needs to happen to be a great communicator in sales. First thing, let's take a look at the different modalities of communication. Now, if you've been a part of NLP for quite a while, stay tuned. We'll get to the in-depth stuff in a minute. But if you're brand new to NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, then this is going to be something that you're going to have to start learning now and continue learning later on. I know I have other seminars, webinars, and videos on this stuff, but it's something you have to really get into detail on if you're going to get good at being a great communicator. So what does it mean? There's three different modalities of communication: visual communicators, auditory communicators, and kinesthetic or touchy-feely communicators. So our visual communicators are, these are the people that do things by picture. They have to see things. These are the people that look for the right color, the right shape. Everything's got to fit together because this person here is very visual in what they're looking for. Now, if I was to try and pick a visual person, I would look at the way they're dressed, and of course there'll be sharp dresses. Everything will be in place, the right colors, the right match. It's not about how it feels, which is the touchy-feely people. It's about how it looks. So we're looking for these people. We can understand their visual by the wording that they use. They might talk about, wow, that's really bright, and I love the color of that, or, gee, that looks like the sort of thing I would want to be purchasing. That sort of pickup. Again, 40% of your marketplace is going to be in the visual. Now, we have all three of these, but there's one of them that is usually commanding in any type of human being. So if I'm selling to a visual style person, do I need a different sales technique than if I'm selling to a kinesthetic or a touchy-feely person? Do I need a different system than if I'm selling to someone who's auditory or a listener in this scenario? Absolutely, I do. Sorry, just taking a sip of water. I'm speaking so fast today, I know. That's why I ask you to take a lot of notes. The auditory salesperson, now they make up about 20% of the marketplace. These people, it's about the sound. It's about the listening. It's about, your tone of voice with these people is of very much importance when they do it. Let's imagine people are buying a car all of a sudden. The visual people, they're going to take a look at the car. They're going to want to see it. They're going to see how they look in it. They're going to want to drive it past the window of the showroom and take a look at themselves in it. The auditory people are going to turn the stereo system on. They're going to rev the engine. They're going to take a listen to the exhaust system. This is what they're thinking about. They're going to listen into the salesperson. Auditory people, again, how are we going to pick them out of the marketplace? They're going to be the people who are talking. They're going to be using wording like, gee, that sounds exactly what I'm looking for, or gee, that rings true to me. These are auditory cues that these people are giving us. Finally, the kinesthetics. They're, again, about 40% of the marketplace. These are our touchy-feely people. They're going to want to touch everything. When they're buying the car, they're feeling the leather. They're running their hand up the side of the car, feeling the paint job. They're going to want to touch everything, feel everything. They're going to go for a ride, and, depending upon how bumpy the car ride is a part of their decision-making process. They're going to get a feel for the salesperson. Does this person feel good to me? These are the different modalities. Now, if you're brand new to this, then obviously you've got to start targeting yourself in. You're going to be one of these primarily. So if you're primarily visual, imagine how hard it's going to be for you to start selling to a kinesthetic unless you learn this material. If you're a visual person selling to a touchy-feely person, you've got a fair bit of learning to do to be able to make sure you communicate in their modality, not just in your own. That's a big part of it. So let's take this to the next level then for those of you that have been around NLP for a little bit of time. How do you pick them when you meet them? How can you be certain you've picked a visual in the first 30 seconds? How can you be certain you've picked a kinesthetic in the first minute? These are some of the things you've got to be able to do so that you can then communicate in their modality. One of the biggest things I look at is not only the way they dress and the words they use, And I also use a lot of their eye movements. If I'm working with a visual person and I'm asking them to recall something, 99% of the time they'll be looking up. So they'll look up to the left or up to the right. They can't help themselves but use their eyes to look for and find the answers to what they're doing. If I'm working with an auditory person, 90% of the time they'll look to the sides. They'll be looking to the side thinking, and in their mind they're replaying the verbal cues of what happened last time. The visual person is seeing it again in their mind. They get the picture in their head. The kinesthetic person, on the other hand, their eyes will generally go down. So their eyes will go down and they'll look within. They'll get the feeling of what they had. So their memory comes back to the feeling. So make sure you understand communication modalities. At the end of the day, I'm going to give you an opportunity to be able to join us for our Profit Masters program, where there's so much more detail around all of this sort of stuff. Profit Masters is a wonderful program. Again, it's online. It's webinars just like this. It's videos. It's audio programs. It's workbooks. They're all online for you and all of your staff to be a part of. And it's an amazing program. There's more than $25,000 worth of training involved in that program. Of course, I got a special offer for you today, so hang 5 for that one. But the kinesthetic people, the auditory people, and the visual people, we've got to sell to all three of them. So we need to make sure we understand how to sell to all three of them. When we're working with a visual, how do we get the more communication through visual mediums? Especially if you're selling an intangible product, like an invisible, like for us at ActionCOACH. When we're selling an invisible product, we need to give people visual representations of it. We need to give people auditory. We need to get them in touch with their feelings around what we're doing. You know, that's a very big part of how you actually work on this stuff. And every one of us has to get good at it. And that's the only way we get good at it is by practice and by study. Second part of understanding communication is looking at people's behavioral profile. Now, behavioral profiling is not something that's new. But using it in sales is something that we have to get very good at in order to be able to convert the majority of people that we work with. Most people buying your product and service will not be your methodology, will not be your behavioral profile. So let's work with the 4 main behavioral profiles. The DISC profile is the one I use, DISC. D for dominant. I stands for influence. Hopefully you're taking notes on this stuff. Draw this graph up. D for dominant, I for influence, S stands for stability. These are the real stable people. C, it stands for compliance. Okay, these are the people that are highly detail-oriented. So we got 2 different sides to this graph. We've got the task-oriented people over on the left. The high Ds, the dominant people and the compliant people, they're task-oriented. They want to get on with the job. The high Is and the high S's, these are the influences and the stability. They're people-oriented. They want to relate to the people first before getting on with the job. Now, let's go to the top and bottom of this graph. At the top, we've got the outgoing people, and at the bottom, we've got the reserve. What does that actually mean for us? Well, simply put, the high Ds are very outgoing, task-oriented people. The high Is are very outgoing, people-oriented people. The S's are people-oriented reserve. The C's are task-oriented reserve. So how does this work for us in sales, and what do we got to do for it? Well, first and foremost, if you haven't already, please get in touch with one of my coaches and do your own profile. Learn your own profile and make sure you've got that understood. The coach will take you through the profiling and how it works for you as a leader, as a manager, and as a salesperson. Second of all, hopefully you'll get all your sales team done with this, but second of all, you've got to look at it from a prospect point of view. If I'm going to meet someone to make a sale to them, I've got to understand how they make a purchase decision. So our high Ds, let's start there. Why? Because if you don't start with the high Ds, they get upset. These are the dominant people. They want to be number one. They want to be having the newest, latest, greatest product or service. They don't ever want to get something that's old. They want the newest, the best, the biggest, the most expensive, the loudest, the flashiest. That's the high D person. This is the style of person that they start a lot of projects and finish none of them. This is the type of person that if you go to their desk, their in tray is entirely full because they've ordered 4,000 magazines and never read any of them. These are the people that start a lot of things. These are the people that will be on my webinar today because it's only a 1-hour webinar, and they go, gee, we've only been on here for 20 minutes. When's this? They're ready to jump to the next thing. These are the people that make quick decisions, though. They want the bottom line. They want to be able to make their decision right now. Give me the bullet points. Don't bore them with a whole bunch of information. Don't try and be their friend. Just let them make a decision and let them make it fast and get them the newest, latest, and greatest thing delivered today. The high Is, if we go across to these people, these are the friends. These are the ones that they'll buy from you if you are their friends. They'll buy from you if they like you. These are the people that they want to be the center of the party. They're the happy-go-lucky. They love being the life of the party. They want friends. They'll buy from it because there's good testimonials, or they'll buy from it because famous people own this thing. These are the people, again, very outgoing, people-oriented, though. They're very friendly. That's the style of person they are, and that's how they make buying decisions. Usually when they're coming for a big purchase, they'll even have 2 or 3 of their friends there with them to help them make the purchase decision. Now, the high S's, they're still people-oriented, but these are far more reserved people. Their number one goal in purchasing something is to get the same one they had last time. You know, these people don't want to go in for something new and latest and greatest. They want to go in for, you know, what's something that we had last time. Yeah, well, I had this brand last time. I'd like that one again. Even though that brand's gone out of business, that's what they want. That's the sort of thing. They want warranties. They want guarantees. And you've got to play to what they're after. If you could sell the same product to all of these 4 different groups, but you can sell it with different aspects of it that are really important to the person that's buying it. Don't just think about what you need. Think about what they're after when they're making a purchase decision. Our high C's, now these are our compliant. These are the detail-oriented people. They will probably have a checklist, and in their checklist they'll have 7,000 things that they want to know about. In their checklist they'll have researched every page of your website. They will have gone on. They will have read everything. They will have checked out all of your competitors. They will know every detail. In fact, they probably even know more about your product or service than you do. You know, it's a phenomenal thing. But the high C compliance style person is a great buyer online. We love them buying online. They're so easy to sell to online because they'll do all the research there, and that's the thing. But again, task-oriented reserve. Now, imagine you're a high D trying to sell to a high S, or a high I trying to sell to a high C. Whichever methodology you are, you've got to make sure that you are able to sell to the others. You've got to become good at all of these different behavioral styles, as well as the different communication styles we looked at there in the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. As you learn this stuff, as you get really good at it, you become far better at converting sales. You become far easier at getting real results in your sales scenario, and that's what happens. So make sure that communication, beliefs is first with great emotions, communication and understanding how to actually work with people. The third aspect of our webinar here today is really understanding the subject of questions. You know, the highest priority type of communication I could teach, if I could only teach salespeople one type of communication, it would be most definitely working on the things from the question aspect. When I look at questioning, the average type of coach, the average type of salesperson is not a great questioner. They're a great teller. They know the products are there inside out, and they just keep telling people. Here's the problem with that. If you tell them a product's details, they can argue with you. They can tell you it's not what they want. They can tell you, they can come up with objections, basically. Whereas if you ask them a question that leads them in the right direction, that gives them the direction in what they're talking about, and they tell you, oh, the reason I want to buy this is X, Y, and Z, if they're telling you what's good about it, then guess what? There's no objection. When you come to the end of the sales process and you say to them things like, well, remember, Bob, you told me that this, and this. Or Mary, at the beginning, you told me that you were after something that was this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And then you told me how our product suited all of those needs. At that point in time, you have got this thing won. But if you keep talking all the time, they can't sell themselves. I like to think of it this way. How would you get them to sell you on the fact that you should buy the product? How do you talk to them and ask them questions that lead you in a direction that makes sure they're selling you around what it is that you're after? That, to me, is one of the biggest things we need to do with great sales. You know, excuse me, when we're doing great sales, it's really about getting real results. And real results comes from the person making the sales themselves. Remember, people love buying. You know, if we take a look at it, just a quick poll here for you. Where do most of your sales come from? Is it from 1 or 2 big clients? Are you knowing exactly where they're coming from? Where are you finding out this stuff? Where are they coming? Past business? How does the questioning process work? Well, let's take a look at it. Most of the questioning process, and I'll just give you another 10 seconds just to finish up that the poll for me. Most of the questioning process is about asking questions of the prospect, listening twice as much as you think, the old 2 ears, 1 mouth, keep it in proportion type status. If we take a look at it, now it's good to see a lot of you got many different ways here of people coming through. Several of you have a lot of repeat business and past customers, so that's something we got to look at. So the questioning process works like this. If you get real good at questioning, they sell themselves. And how do you know when they've sold themselves? It looks kind of like this. You ask a question, they give an answer. You keep questioning, they keep answering. And for a period of time during the sale, that's what's going to happen. You're going to keep asking questions. They're going to keep answering the questions for you. At some point in time, though, they will stop answering your questions, and guess what they'll do? They will ask a question. At that point in time, you know that you have made the sale. The moment they have made that decision to ask a question of, well, when could that be delivered? Or how well do you think that would fit with our organization? Or, do you think that's something that will work in? All those sorts of questions that you get back from a prospect, that is the point in time. Right there, right then. That's the point in time where mentally they made the purchase. Now, a lot of salespeople mess this up and they just keep going and they miss the sales point. Don't keep going. Once they've asked a question, now you're ready to start actually asking them to make a purchase. Leave them there. Don't go further on. In their mind, they're ready to buy. Stay with them. I see too many salespeople that just keep going and they talk those people out of buying. Talk them into buying. Don't keep going with this sort of stuff. So how does this actually work? Well, let's take a look at it in a visual representation, the old way versus the new way. In the old way, there was very little questioning done up front. There was very little rapport building. See, when we're asking questions, when we're finding out their needs, when we're finding out what benefits suit them, when we're finding out, all of these questions lead us to a point where we're getting down to emotion. All of these questions lead to a point where we're getting information from the prospect. We are building rapport. What do they think when you keep asking questions? You're interested in them. You're interested in helping them. You're interested in finding the best solution for them. And that builds rapport. That level of rapport is what is needed today to make a sale. Then the actual selling doesn't take much. If you go back 20 years and you read some sales books, they've got 4 million sales techniques because they're trying to get people to make a sale. What we're doing here is we're helping people to buy. Would they have taken the meeting with you if they didn't actually really want to make a purchase? Would they have spent the time, energy, and effort to go through all that if they didn't really want to make a purchase? Of course not. So the more rapport building we do, the less selling we actually have to do. I'm not here to teach you the 47 ways to close, the 32 steps to open a relationship. No. This is the understanding the fundamentals of sales is about saying how do we build rapport so that we don't have to do a lot of selling. And we're going to get to more on this in just a moment. Finally, then, the third part of the sale is the follow-up. Too often I meet people, they make a pitch, they get the sale, they let the person go, and then they never get a repeat customer. Sales today is almost all about repeat business. And you might like to write this down. Repeat business equals profit. The way you get profit today is through repeat business. It's not through one-off sales. One-off sales is too much cost, or there's too much marketing cost, there's too much work that goes into it. To make real profit from customers, we got to get them back more often. And so that's why it's important for us to do a lot of follow-up with people once we've made that initial sale. Now, how does this work then? Let's take a look at my question funnel because, questioning is the number one skill. Questions are the answer. So the way the funnel works is real simple. Our first questions with every single prospect need to be real open-ended. Our first questions with every prospect are getting them talking. It's not about us. It's not about closing them or tying them down. It's not about getting them to always say yes. It's none of those trick things. What it's about is getting them to open up, to start communicating with us, to talk with us, to tell us what it is that they need to buy, why they want to buy it, how many different things. That's where all of your W's come in, the who, what, when, where, why, and, of course, the H at the end, the how. We're opening them up. We're not trying to get them down to, do you want this one or that one? What we're trying to do is get them to communicate with us. And what does that do? It builds rapport. It gets them chatting. It gets us chatting. We're hearing the things that are coming from these people. We're making notes about them. Open-ended questions in the beginning. Open-ended questions then lead to more specific questions. Of course, now we start to narrow it down. Now we start to ask more specific questions once we've got an idea of what it is this person is after. Then we get to do the things called playing dumb and digging deep. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, real simple. What playing dumb is about is you might know the answer to a question. Of course you do. You've been selling these things forever. Just because you know the answer doesn't mean you should tell them. In fact, telling them is the worst thing you could do. Why? Because then there can be an objection. If you, however, ask the question in the right way, they'll give you the answer, and they'll go deeper and deeper to their emotions. They'll get more and more sold on it themselves because you're asking the right questions that lead them down the right path. Will you need to invest a bit of time coming up with these questions, coming up with ideas of questions? What sort, what, how, where, when? Of course you will. That's part of being a great sales manager or business owner or a great salesperson, is developing scripts and systems for yourself. We'll get to more of that in just a little while. So we play dumb, we dig deep, we give them the verbal cues that we understand what they're saying. Oh, and what would that mean to you? And how would that affect the bottom line? And what would that mean long-term for your family? And how would that impact your day-to-day relationships? And what sort of vacation would that mean you would have? We're asking questions that, yes, we know the answer to them, but hey, we've got to get them to voice the answer. The more we get them to voice the answer, of course, the more chance we've got of them selling themselves. Then it's a time to offer solutions. Not a solution, but multiple solutions. 2 or 3 solutions is what we're going to offer every single time. We never ask a yes-no sales question at this as we get further down the funnel. All we're going to do is give them a few solutions that might fit with what they had in mind. So, of course, we're going to relate it back to their answers they've given us before. Now, we don't then ask for the sale. We don't do that. We check their temperature. Now, what does that mean? So we might ask them a question, something along the lines of, so how does that fit with what you had in mind? Or how does that fit with the budget that you were working towards? Or how does that fit with the plans you had? Or how does that solution, or which one of those solutions fits best with your ideas? We're asking them a question that's not about, are you going to buy? It's, how does that fit? Is it a good idea? Is it something that's close to what you're after? At that point in time, we can find out if they're hot to trot and ready to buy, or if they're like, you know what, it's really not what I was after. And then we can go back into questions because we haven't asked them to buy. We don't have to go and backtrack now because we haven't got to the stage of making that decision making. Now, when we do come to the decision making, one of the things that I want to make 100% clear is we're never, ever, ever, ever going to ask the question like, do you want to buy this or not? Never do a yes-no question. Don't ever do that. What we've got to do is we've never, ever asked for the sale. All we ask them to do is to confirm a detailed question. All we ask them to do is confirm a detail. Simple thing. Well, what day do you think would be best for us to deliver that on? Which color do you think is the one that you would want? Is it best to put this on credit card or check? Or which credit card would you like to process that on? Don't ask yes, no, do you want to buy this or not? Ask them a detailed question that confirms a detail, which confirms they're going to buy. If you give them the ability to do a yes, no question, that's just crazy. It's like giving them a get-out-of-jail-free card. They're just going to walk away from it at that point, even though they actually want to buy, and even though you've done a great job of selling them on this stuff. So stay with them. Make sure you ask a detail-oriented question so that you end the question funnel with an order, not with people saying it. Now, write these 3 statements down, the first 3 statements here. Can I just ask, by the way, and incidentally? Now, what are they? They're called question softeners. What does that mean? Well, if I was to ask you something like, well, what budget do you have involved in this? Instead of just saying it straight out as a question, if I put something in front of it, a softener, listen, by the way, what budget do you have set up for this? Or can I just ask what budget you have set up for this? It softens the tough questions down. So build them into your sales. Build them into your ability to ask so that you're not banging your head against the wall with questions where they're tough questions that you want people to answer, but they're good questions where people can actually give you a real solid answer and do it. So how does a question cycle work? Real simple. We give them a question. We've got to listen. Now, during listening, we've got to give them positive strokes, especially if you're on the telephone sales. If you're selling on the phone, you've got to make sure you're giving lots of positive strokes. You know, if they're answering your question, you've got to be saying things along like, all right, yeah, great, well, thanks for that, appreciate it. Oh, that's a good answer. Yep, now that makes me understand. Oh, thank you. You've got to be consistently giving positive strokes. And if you're in front of them, nodding, making notes, even doing the same thing with verbal positive strokes. And then prior to asking the next question, thank them for their answer, and then go to your next question and repeat the process until, of course, they ask a question and you start the whole process of getting them to make the purchase. More specific questions, offer them a solution, boom, there we go, next, confirm a detail, and we're off and racing. So point 4 of what I want to look at today. So number 1, beliefs which get to emotion. Number 2, communication. What are our 3 main points under communication? Well, the first 2 were visual, auditory, kinesthetic, the DISC, and then our 3rd major point of today, using questions in our sales process. This point here about your purpose statement, and what does that actually mean? I think the reason most people mess up sales is they mess it up right in the beginning. They don't give their customers a purpose statement. And what does a purpose statement mean? It's telling people right up front exactly how we're going to actually communicate with them and exactly what's going to happen in our process today. So I would, if I'm to use a purpose statement, it goes through several steps. Number 1, I'm asking for their permission. Number 2, I'm going to outline the process. Number 3, I'm going to tell them I'm going to offer them some solutions. Number 4, I'm going to say if we have agreement, I'm going to ask you to make a decision. Number 5, I'm going to tell them I want them to make an investment today. Number 6, I'm going to tell them we're going to move on this today. We're going to start things in process now. And then number 7, I'm going to ask for their permission again. Now, how does that actually work? Well, again, I'll work with it with business coaching because that's what I'm used to on a day-to-day basis. And you can allocate this or adjust this for what you're doing. So if I was to meet with you, I'd say, look, tell me, is it okay if I outline the way I'd like to go through our meeting today? So now I've asked for your permission. 99.9% of the time people say, yeah, sure. Then I'll say, look, what I'd like to do is I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. And your process might be different to this, so put whatever process you have in it. First, I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions so I can get more understanding of exactly where you're at in the business and what needs to happen and what your goals are and the different aspects of your business compared to other companies. Second of all, once we've got that, I'm going to offer you some different solutions, things that I believe. And I've already got a bit of an idea as to what I believe, but after your questions, I'm going to know even clearer which solutions could possibly be the best for you. And it might be as simple as a book, and it might be our one-to-one coaching programs. I'm not sure. But if we're in agreement at the end of our time today that one of those solutions will work for you, then I'm going to ask you to make a decision today and make an investment today. And we want to get started on this thing here right now. Only if we're in agreement, though, do we want to make action and take that and have you make an investment with us. Now, it might not be right for you to make an investment, but it might be. But if we're going to do that, I want you to do it today. Finally, I go back to permission and say, would it be okay if that's how we work together today? You know, once I do that, let me tell you this. What do you think the person is thinking of me as a salesperson if I've done that in the first 5 to 10 minutes of us being together after I've done some rapport building and general chit-chat? What do you think their perception of me as a salesperson is? How professional do you think they perceive I am relative to the average salesperson that comes in to see them? The purpose statement is a massive part of it. Do you need to develop one of these for your business? Absolutely. Developing purpose statements is a very, very powerful part of what we need to do. So let's take a look. Next aspect is about sales scripts. Let me just find out where you're at. Here's another poll. If you can just give me an answer on this so I know at what level I need to teach this at today. But when we put sales scripts in place, scripting is one of the most important aspects of sales in any organization. And why don't most companies do it? Well, they just hire someone, they throw them in the deep and say, well, you've been a salesperson before, you should be able to sell here. No, we want to develop systems. We want to develop scripts. We want to make sure that we have this stuff in place and do that. What do I mean by a sales script? It can be as simple as like a retail scenario. It can be as simple as when someone walks in the door, and this kills me every time. Yeah, how many of you go to a retail store and they say, hi, can I help you? And what's your answer? No, thanks, just looking. And that's been the answer for 100 years. Wouldn't you think they'd change their script? Wouldn't you think they'd come up with a different systemology of getting sales in there? For decades now, in fact, for 2 decades, I've been teaching people a different script when they come into that. Let me just close off that poll. holy heck, we got a lot of work to do on scripts here today. So, all right, we'll spend an extra couple of minutes on this one. Gee, what have we got? We've got only 20, 30% of you doing all right, and the rest of you, 60, 70%, got a lot of work to do. So, building sales scripts. What have we got to do? Well, actually, let me just go back to that retail example. Instead of, hi, can I help you, I teach people to ask a simple question of, hi, have you been in our store before? It's not a, no, thanks, just looking. It's a, well, no, I've never been in. And then you lead to the conversation. Well, great, thanks for coming in. Let me show you around so you know where to find things. Or if they say, yeah, I've been in here before. Great, let me tell you a couple of the new things we've got in. How long's it been since you've been in? Thought I might have recognized you. You know, it leads to further conversation. It doesn't kill off the conversation. So when we're putting together a sales script, there's several stages to any sales script that we want to put together. Number one, we want to build a purpose statement, as we've just discussed. Number two, do we want to script and come up with a whole bunch of different questions that lead people in the right direction? Not that lead them towards price objections, but questions that get rid of objections, questions that lead people to make a great purchase decision. Then we want to have a system for getting them to the solution. Then we want to have a system or a script for presenting the solutions. Of course, then we want to have several temperature checking questions. Then, of course, we want several different detail questions for our salespeople to use when they're doing it. Does it take time to write this stuff out and find out if it works and trial something else? Of course it does. But hey, what we're doing is we're building a sales team that's going to work without you and building great salespeople in your organization. To do that, you've got to follow these systems. And finally, step 7, we're going to look at handling objections. And by the way, on that point, if you get the same objection many times, like you've had the same objection 5, 10, 20 times, then you've got to look at the way you're selling, because the way you're selling is leading them to that objection. So you've got to develop a better sales technique so that you actually got a way of getting the objection dealt with before it comes up. Now, I'll give you another example of scripting that's really, really simple. Sales on the phone. I work with a lot of people, and they have phone calls that come in, and they do the sale and all that sort of stuff. But every time people call them up, and they say, what's the price of this, or what's that, or how do you do it? The first line out of every single salesperson, you should write this down word for word if you do sales on the telephone, or if anyone in your company does sales on the telephone. The first few words out of your mouth should be, thanks for your call. Just so I can help you best, would it be okay if I asked you a couple of questions? Thanks for your call. Just so I can help you best, would it be okay if I asked you a couple of questions? That is a way to get rid of all of these people asking, that's the way to get moving towards value and quality rather than price orientation. Of course, you've then got to script all of the questions and get it ready, but if I said to you, thanks for your call, just so I can help you best, would it be okay if I asked you a couple of questions? Of course you're going to say yes to me asking you a few questions. And then if I ask the right questions, I'm going to lead you towards quality and value, and I'm going to check your temperature, and I'm going to ask you a detailed question, and I'm going to handle any objections and make the sale. That's what we're aiming to do. Now, 5th point today on sales. Sales is math. It's really a numbers game. I want to know how much measuring do you do? How many numbers do you know? If I was to look at, what's your conversion rate? Do you know your conversion rate on Monday versus Friday? Do you know your conversion rate in the morning versus the afternoon? Do you know how many leads it takes to make a sale on Tuesday versus Thursday? Do you know how many leads it takes for one salesperson to make a sale versus another? This is where we need to talk. In fact, just fill in the poll for me. Let me just see where you're at with testing and measuring, or measuring and testing at this point. So why do we want to know our numbers? Well, to become a great salesperson, we've got to know our numbers. If you're a sales manager or the owner of the business, to manage any of your salespeople, you've got to know their numbers. If you don't know their numbers, how do you expect to make a sale? Make sure you're measuring every aspect of their business. Make sure you're knowing, what's happening, how it's happening. 20 seconds more to get that poll closed off. The more you measure, the better the sales results will be. The more you understand about what's happening. What's the average sale? What's the conversion rate? What is their conversion from step 1 of the sale to step 2, step 2 to step 3, especially if you've got a long sales process? What's your conversion rate on, like in our restaurant, we have what's your conversion rate on appetizers, what's your conversion rate on main courses, what's your conversion rate on desserts, what's your conversion rate on wine sales? You can measure anything, and it helps you get a greater respect and a greater result for understanding of it. Just closing that off. Obviously, we got a lot of work to do on measuring. We got a whole bunch of stuff to do there, as you can see. Again, more than 60% of you needing a whole bunch of work and just under 30% of you doing some good stuff, and still needing work, of course, but we're going to get there. So then we're going to look at testing new things. So once we've got a system in place, once we've scripted it and we've done all that stuff and we know our numbers, now we're measuring it. Then we can start adding new things in to be able to test other stuff to see what other results we can finally get with this stuff. Measure and test, measure and test. Now, will this stuff work for you in your business? Can you make this happen? Can you double your conversion rate in the next 60 to 90 days? I put this picture up of young Nick Vujicic here, and he's on the surfboard there with Bethany Hamilton. Here's a guy with no arms, no legs. He should have no chance of making success, but he's killing it out there in the world. Bethany Hamilton, lost her arm in a shark attack. My kids love this gal because here she is, a superstar. Well, why do I put that picture up? Because it's real simple. It doesn't matter what you think. Yes, you can if you set your mind to it. You can get the results you're after if you set your mind to it. So let's take a look at today's learnings and how we get double our conversion rate by doing these. Beliefs. Absolutely, we've got to change up some of our beliefs around different areas of sales, customers, whether it's salespeople, whether it's money. We've got to determine your sales beliefs. Second, we got to get much better at communication. We got to learn how to communicate with visual, auditory, kinesthetic. We got to learn how to communicate with the dominant influencer, stability, and compliance people. Next, we got to get master of questions. We got to become amazing at questions because questions are the answer is the simplest statement I can put it up. Then we've got to make sure we build purpose statements for every step in our sales process. If you got a single sales process, you're lucky. You only need to develop one. If you got multiple, you got to develop multiple purpose statements within your sales process. Build those scripts. Measure everything. If you really want to succeed, you got to know the numbers. You cannot manage what you do not measure. So at the end of all of that, and looking at those learnings, the biggest question to yes, I can is, yeah, can I do this stuff? Absolutely, I can do this stuff. I can get more sales. The question is, how do I implement all this? That's the biggest question. Yeah, I can get more if I learn it. I can get more, and I can work less hours, and I can multiply my sales. But in order to do that, Brad, I got to get it into practice. That means implementation. So to get you started on implementation, of course, we've learned a bunch of things today. But I want to take you to the next step. What if I was to give you a methodology where you could not only learn the things we've got in place today, but you could learn a whole bunch more about marketing, sales, business building, systemization, entrepreneurship, wealth creation? What if you could learn all of that stuff? 83 more strategies for conversion rate. What if you could learn all of those? What if you could learn average sales? 76 strategies for average sale. Well, let me give you a system for that. And by the way, yes, type those questions in now. I'll be at the questions in 3 minutes' time. I created a program called Profit Masters simply because I can't get to your business every day, and you need the training. Your staff need training. Your employees need customer service training, sales training, marketing training, whatever area it is, they need to understand that. So I created an amazing program called Profit Masters that takes people through a business degree. It's like an entrepreneurial degree right there online for you to go through. Hours and hours of great stuff. It starts with 10 webinars, and we're going to start them tomorrow, 11 a.m. Vegas time and 4 p.m. So exact same time tomorrow, we're going to do this. Yeah, they'll be recorded if you can't make the first few, but every working day for the next 11 days, in fact, because I'm going to throw in a bonus webinar, not just these first 10. We're going to do things about how to succeed in life, about wealth, how to be an entrepreneur. We're going to look at multiplication of profit in companies. We're going to look at building marketing, real machine marketing. We're going to go further in depth on sales than what we've got here. Not only that, we're going to go into retention, getting your past customers back, which is of vital importance for us in sales. Excellent employees. We're going to work out how to employ the greatest salespeople, how to employ great people across the entire company, in fact. We're going to look at how you lead salespeople, manage them, and again, all the people in your company, you'll learn how to do that. Systems, that's going to be a big part of it, how to develop sales systems, marketing systems across the entire company. Leverage, how to do the work once and get paid forever. Wouldn't that be great in sales if you could train a salesperson once and they work for you forever and develop those results? These 11 webinars are going to be yours over the next 11 days. No, these are not the free ones. I'm going to do free ones once a month for the next 12 months. These are webinars where I want you on there. I want you to learn it. Now, normally it would be $250 to attend a seminar like this with me. Why? Because I got to travel to you. I don't want to travel. I don't want to do that. You don't want to have to worry about that stuff. So how do we make this? Well, real simple. $99 a webinar, $990 for all 10 webinars. You get to learn from us in the next 10 days enough information to make back the $990. In fact, I'm going to guarantee it. Hang five. I'll show you the guarantee in just a second. Every single day, we're going to do this stuff. Yes, we'll record it for the next 11 days, so if you miss one of them, you can be on it. If you make a decision in the next 8 minutes, I'm going to give you $25,000 worth of material, all free of charge. How can I do that? Because we're online. I can do this stuff, all of the videos, audios, and everything. My sales workshop, this is a 3-day sales workshop. It is included in this. I have 12 weeks of 83 different strategies where every single morning you're going to watch a 10-minute video and apply it to your business. Every day for the next 12 weeks, you're going to do that stuff and get it applied. That alone sells for $2,000. Then all of the video workshops, my entrepreneurs training, my Sales Rich 3-day course. People paid $5,000 a head just to be at that course. You're going to get it online, free, absolutely, all part of this program. Now, my guarantee, let me get to that actually, I'll get to that in a second. I got all these audio programs as well. Literally, gang, there's more than, just under $1,800 worth of audio programs, 2-day workshops, 3-hour seminars, all of this stuff for your staff to be able to learn from on customer service, on sales, on marketing, all these different aspects of it, they're yours. If in the next 7 minutes you make a decision, I'm going to throw in all of the ebooks as well, white papers galore, stuff on sales, stuff on marketing, how to build your business. There's $2,300 in value in all of those manuals that we put together if we sold them to you outright. Plenty of other free downloads that we use with our one-to-one coaching session. Our 5-way strategies list alone has got to be worth the $990. Mentor interviews. I'll get to, just the interviews with Jeffrey Gitomer and Brian Tracy on sales, those things. Tony Alessandro on sales, phenomenal stuff. Eve's just put up a note here. Yes, the 4 free gifts, I will give you the link to that in just a minute. And yes, I'm getting to their questions, Eve. Don't panic. I'm getting to people's questions, and I'll get to the 4 free gifts that they get. 6 minutes now, make the decision. All those webinars, the 11th one is free. It's yours. Here's my guarantee to you, though, and this is dead easy for you to make a decision. Put it on your credit card. Come with me on the webinars for the next 11 days. If at the end of that you don't love it, I'll give you your money back, and you get to keep everything. That's my 200% guarantee. You get your money back, and you get to keep everything as long as you attend all the webinars and learn the whole bunch of stuff. If you at the end of that go, hey, Brad, this sucks. I don't really like it anymore. Fine. Here, have your money back. I don't want to have people that don't love what I do. I love customers who love what I do. So there is no risk to you whatsoever in this program. If you don't love it, I will refund your money. And for most people, it's before you've even got to pay your credit card bill. That makes no sense for me to do it unless you know that I understand I'm going to make you a lot of money from this. See, my whole goal is to make you a lot of money from this program. Why? Because then eventually you'll want to become a coaching client. Eventually, you might refer people to us. If I make you a lot of money on my Profit Masters program, you'll come back and buy stuff from us again and again and again because we've grown your business and your business is doing phenomenally well. So, 2 other quick bonuses I'm going to give you, and then I'll answer your questions. Number 1, everyone that purchases in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you 1 hour with one of my coaches free of charge. Simple as that. It's $375 an hour they charge. Let me go across to the questions. Eve, by the way, has put in your chat box the actual link. If you go into your chat box on the right-hand side in the go-to thing, you'll see a link in there. You just click on that. It's the BradSugarsProfitMasters.com/webinar offer. Questions. Okay, sales management. What's some of the best techniques of sales management? Look, the simplest things I can say on sales management. Number 1, meet with them every day. Number 2, get them focused on 1 or 2 products every single week to get them moving. Number 3, measure their results as often as you possibly can. Next question. It's my 2nd month of coaching. Should I get involved in Profit Masters? Absolutely. Part of coaching is getting more knowledge. This is where the knowledge center part is the. I'm in the real estate industry. Does this apply to me? Absolutely. Real estate, insurance, all you guys, this is phenomenal for you. I've even got a bunch of people in multi-level marketing on this program, and they're getting phenomenal results from it. Next question. Okay, how do I get all my salespeople to measure? Well, real simple. You've got to develop a systemized methodology that makes it easier for them to measure than not, and that's really, their bonuses have to come from measuring. If they're not measuring, then they don't get their bonuses or their commissions or whatever it is. Measuring with salespeople is a tough thing, but very simply put, once you condition them for it, maybe even play them this webinar where I've told them how important it is to measure and test, then maybe they'll get results. Gang, look, I've run out of time. I'm going to get my team to answer all of your questions. They will type back to you and answer all of the questions for you, so don't panic. We will get you answers to all of the questions that you've got on there. What I'm going to do right now, of course, if you go into the chat window, you can jump on that, come over to Profit Masters. I will be with you tomorrow, same time, same bad channel, and we will make sure that we get lots of results for your business over the next few days. And over the next 60 to 90 days, we'll look at how we can double that conversion rate in your business. Really looking forward to it. Eve's now going to give you the link so that you can get the 4 free gifts just for attending our webinar here today. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you on my Profit Master system. Jump on, make the purchase, put it on your credit card. If you don't love it, I'll give you your money back. I want people to make a lot of money so that you love our business and you become our customers for life. Take care. Have a great day. Eve, over to you.
Thank you so much, Brad. That was a really great training. This is Eve Fabros, and I want to thank you for attending Brad Sugar's Sales Success Webinar. We hope you did learn some brand new sales strategies from Brad that you can start using in your business today. And remember to take advantage of Brad's special webinar offer. Again, it's bradsugarsprofitmasters.com/webinar offer. You can simply just click on that link in your chat box, and it will take you directly over to purchase the webinar series that Brad is going to start conducting beginning tomorrow. And know that your purchase is 100% guaranteed. We know you will find the webinar series to be an invaluable investment to you and your business. And again, if you're not completely satisfied, just request a refund within 48 hours after attending all 11 webinars in the series. We thank you again for your attendance, and everyone, make it a great day.